Hello everyone, this is Diane. Thank you all for joining me today. Another episode of the My Favorite Journal Supplies series. I don't know what order they're going to be in. This is the last one that I'm filming. It might not be the last one you see. I think I'm going to make the embellishments one the last one. But this is the last one in the series as I'm filming them. So this one is for ephemera. Embellishments and ephemera kind of can overlap, but I think of ephemera as something bigger that you might add. Embellishments are smaller, like a final decoration. Ephemera are things that you add to the journal pages, like a pocket, an envelope, something to tuck into the pockets and envelopes and things like that. So, I don't know, I had a hard time with this one, kind of narrowing it down. But let's just start. I've got my list over here where I can read it, and we'll just get started. Number one on the list that I have is book illustrations. You know, I have a lot of vintage books, and I love to use illustrations out of the books to make pockets, tuck spots. There are fun ones that, like square, you could just cut out, and they make great pockets. Or journal cards. They can they can be journal cards too. So book illustrations, botanical. I love the children's book illustrations. You know that. Botanical illustrations. Some of these could be cut out to be ephemera, or embellishments. Fussy cut embellishments. Or for this category, you could cut it out into a rectangle shape and make a tag or a journal card out of it, or even a pocket. Those are book pages ready and waiting. But I also have this little container here that has my folders, my little pouches, of book pages, illustrations that I cut out from books. And I have them divided up so that it's easier for me to find something. So this envelope is all animals. Some of them are more realistic. Some are, dressed in clothing and funny. Some are really cute. So this one's more. So this could embellish a pocket, or I could back it onto cardstock and make this a tuck spot. I have children and people, different categories, and I'm also including magazine and catalog images because I have a lot of vintage magazines, and I like to use those for pockets and tags. So we'll just leave it at that. Vintage book illustrations, and not necessarily vintage, just book illustrations. So that's a big category for me. Another big category is cards. Index cards. Some of these are coffee dyed index cards, or dyed with color. Rolodex cards. Colored index cards I have here. Journal cards, which could include the cut apart pieces of scrapbook paper. The purchased cards, like Project Life cards. Tuck these into a pocket and then have journaling space. The little cards that come in a pad. I don't know if they come that way anymore, but I used to find them quite a bit at Michael's in a pad. Larger size ones. These are Project Life ones too. Ones I got at the flea market, actually. Got a big box full of Project Life stuff. That was fun. There are digital journal cards that you can use. So these look like ledgers. And you can get lots of journal cards. These are digitals also, that are decorated on the front. They're printed on the front, but you can use the backs for journaling. So any theme or style you like, you can find in a digital. Some of them have lines on them for journaling. And like I said, some are just pretty pictures. These are just a small sampling of what I have printed. These are the larger version of the ledger. So those are just some store-bought ones and some digital ones. You can also do homemade ones, make your own. So just take scraps, file folders, and stamp. Make your own, and you can write on the backs, collage on them. Many ways to make journal cards. And another type of card are recipe cards. I love recipe cards, and you don't have to use them in a recipe cookbook. So I have some flowers here, some embroidered decorations on these cards. Patriotic looking, Americana maybe I should say. Gingerbread, produce, just all kinds of recipe cards. And I love the vintage ones, and you can find some that are folded so you get extra writing space on them. So I do find recipe cards at flea markets. You might be able to find some at thrift stores. And this one came in a tablet, but it's not even scored, but it's a big recipe card, and it has lines on the back too, so that's a nice find. So that's what I have for cards. I know there are probably more kinds of cards that you could use, but any kind of card that you can tuck into a pocket or a tuck spot could be your journaling card. And that is a huge, they're in every one of my journals. Any kind of card, they're in my journals. Another one that I like to use a lot is folded paper scraps. Just a scrap of, like a cut-off piece of scrapbook paper, and I will often fold it and round the corners and then do a collage on it, and then you can write on the inside. Gives you lots of writing space. These are just some samples that I had in my ready-made ephemera box. I think I probably did these on a video some time ago. Oh yeah, I forgot to open it up, and I started sewing through all the layers so you can see the stitch marks there. So I was using old photographs for this. That's fun. I like that. I'll have to do that again. I have a lot of photographs. And then even the little strips you can fold and make little booklets. So just paper scraps, and you don't have to fold them. You could just take one piece and embellish it and write on the back, turn it into a journaling card. This is a sturdier piece of paper. So scraps of paper make excellent journaling cards and journaling booklets. Vintage greeting cards. I love to include these in my journals. And I do find quite a few of them at flea markets. And you can sew them into a signature. So fold it into your signature and the stitches would go down the middle. Or you could tuck it into a pocket, and that way the person can open it right up and use the whole thing. Because if you sew it in, they won't be able to open it. You could, if you sew it in, you could glue that part closed, and then they would have a pocket to put things in. So just all kinds of greeting cards, vintage or newer, are fun to use. The little ones I can tuck into a pocket. They're really fun. So you can see all the greeting cards I have here. Plus I have some that I just took out of a scrapbook that I just bought that I haven't sorted yet. So I don't know which ones I'm keeping. So I better start using them. Look at that. I better put this on my list of let's use it videos so I can start using. I mean, I do use them, but obviously I need to use more. Another big category for me is vintage ephemera. Is that next? Yes, number 5, vintage ephemera. I have this pouch. It just says miscellaneous, and I don't even remember what's in here because I always forget to look. But these are vintage pieces that I find in the at the flea market. So these kinds of things are fun to tuck into pockets. This one's a ration book. So this could be considered embellishments. I could use those little pieces. I have another, I just got some more. I'm going to have to put them both together. But the bigger things that you can just fold and put into a pocket or fold into a signature. This would be something fun to tuck into a pocket. These Hamilton Beach appliances. I have report cards that could be put into a large pocket in a large journal. I had to remind myself of what was in this pouch. And I did show these two drawers in the embellishments video, but I think that the items in these drawers are better suited for ephemera because they are larger pieces. I'm losing stuff. So, oh, I love finding, what are these called? Ink blotters. I love finding ink blotters. So they're a nice card that you can tuck into pockets. So larger pieces of vintage ephemera I would call the ephemera pieces for a journal. So an advertising card or a trade card. Trade meaning a business trade. For example, coffee. That's his trade, coffees and spices. So these are advertising cards or trade cards. And you can just tuck these, and these are real vintage, or you can make copies of them and tuck them in. Lots. You see all that stuff I have? More stuff that I need to use, right? These fun coin savers from banks. They were giveaways from banks for kids. I have found quite a few of them at flea markets. I've sold some, and I've used some, and I have 4 more. I haven't found any yet this year, I don't think. And things like this I always think are fun. They're usually just individual in a box. I'll just pick it and add it to my pile. Just things like this. They're just fun to put into a pocket. This little fan. I think this might be a reproduction. It is. It's dated 1875, but this is a reproduction from 1983. But it's still fun. Here's another one of those fun things that I find sometimes to put into a pocket. So that's what's in those 2 drawers, those kinds of things. And also I have bridge tally cards. They're really fun to add because they usually have a pretty design on them. That one even has cross stitch on it. They come in all different designs. Bingo cards are great to put into pockets. I know I use bingo cards. There's overlap in some of these categories, so you will see some items in more than one category. And another of my favorites is a vintage receipt, like a blank receipt that you can write on. And I love it when I find a whole tablet of them. So I have a few tablets like that, and I have quite a few of the bridge score pads, which are awesome. I like to just tuck them in a pocket, or most often I glue them to a page so that they can be journaled on. That one's really old. Any kind of game score sheet is fun. That's a very unique one that I just got a couple weeks ago at a flea market. Guess this goes in one of these drawers. So vintage ephemera, you can use it all kinds of ways as ephemera, things to tuck in your pockets or tuck spots and things like that. Number 6 is postcards. This could be considered the vintage ephemera also, but I gave it its own category because I love postcards and I can't resist these antique postcards with the beautiful artwork on them. These are my favorite ones with the flowers or ladies printed on them. And they're most often from the turn of the century. Early 1900s is what they usually are. If there's a date, this is 1912. Those two aren't dated. But I have quite a few. I sell a lot of them. I put them in journals a lot. This is just something I find a lot. 1910, 1914. I've had many that were 1900 something. This is 1908, and I love that. It's so pretty. And museum postcards are nice also. And souvenir postcards. Niagara Falls, a church in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And scenic postcards, which would be classified with souvenir postcards. But there's a scenic card from my area, Tioga Point, Athens, Pennsylvania. It's part of the Susquehanna River. Mark Twain's home in Elmira, New York. And you can also get the stationery postcards that are printed to be, they're not souvenir cards, they're just stationery cards. You just write a quick little note on it and post it. And you can find them with some really cute designs. So postcards is a good category of ephemera. Number 7 is envelopes and pockets. I put them together. So there's all kinds of envelopes. This one is a coin envelope, one of the larger ones, and a seed envelope from Target. These are genuine seed envelopes that I got in a Happy Mail. I don't know how old they are, and it doesn't matter to me because I love them. I think they're beautiful. So when I'm ready to use them, I can fold them and glue them. And I was just delighted to get these in a Happy Meal. There's flowers and vegetables, and there's quite a few here. You can get printable envelopes and pockets. Sometimes if you get a journal kit, it will come with envelopes or pockets, or both. There's just a couple printables there. And of course, just envelopes everywhere. If you find vintage stationery, you can usually get envelopes out of that. I love these little ones. This is from a bank, so apparently you could get your money in there when you withdrew it. I don't know. Here's an envelope that someone collaged. Did I do that? I may have. I don't remember. I think I did because I own all of those kinds of things, and that's my wax seal. So yeah, I collaged that envelope. And an airmail envelope and the window envelope. I especially love the vintage ones. And larger envelopes. Maybe that's not ephemera because it's big, but you can make a journal cover out of that. Even the vintage film envelopes, if you're lucky enough to find one. Oh, there it is. That's that little pocket. It's really cool. I should use that. So, envelopes everywhere, and I like to collage on them. I like this window one. I tucked a card in there. Make them out of book pages. Take one you get in the mail, and I just sewed a little piece of fabric to it. Where does it open? Here. So, oh, here's another envelope like that. I had, I think I bought these seed packet labels came in that, so it had a label stuck on it saying what it was, but I covered it up with collage. So that's pockets, or envelopes, and then the pockets, I like to make pockets out of dividers. Here is a fabric pocket. It was a replacement for a men's trouser pocket, but I could glue that to a page and then tuck something in there. Shell, well, maybe this isn't a pocket. It says Shell Oil Company, Standard Bag Company. So no, this wasn't a men's pocket, but I have gotten men's pockets that look like that when they get holes in their pockets, and you can remove them and add a new pocket in. But that's not a trouser pocket. Just, making pockets out of scraps. Sometimes I use my die cut machine to make pockets. So this one makes a slotted pocket, and this one just cuts a pretty shape for the top. And then sometimes, one of my favorite things to do is just cut off pieces from the papers for the journal that I'm using, so they match the journal, and just make a pocket out of it. I can cut a notch in it. Something like that makes a really fun pocket. I can add embellishments to it. This one is corrugated. I put it through my, what do you call it? It makes it corrugated like that. Cut it at an angle and add some lace. Do a collage on it. Stamp on it and add collage if you want to. This one is all stamps. This one is a stamped background with some collage. And they don't have to be a square or flat-edged pocket. I like to combine elements to make a pocket. Just collage things together. So that's the pocket category in envelopes. Number 8 is tags. So every journal that I make has journal cards and pockets and tags, because those are the 3 things I love in a journal. So I have some white tags and some manila tags, coffee dyed. That one is a work ticket. Alterations. This is vintage. I got this batch. Got a whole bunch of these vintage ones at a antique mall. I got these blue inventory tags from Amazon quite a while ago. And these shipping tags, I get them from Amazon, and the giant ones I get from Amazon too. I don't remember where these came from. So I've got these green. These are glossy, and these are not quite as glossy, and they don't have writing on them. Even a paint chip that looks like a tag. And I have found some vintage ones that have printing on them. And these are just, they don't have the squared off tag shape, but it's a tag. I'm not sure where I got these, maybe in a Happy Mail. I also make my own tags. These are tags that I made out of printed cardstock and wallpaper. I can use my Cricut to cut pretty tags out of cardstock. And here's one made out of a scrapbook paper. I've got some colored ones, some florist tags, they're fun. Those are vintage. And digital tags. You can get lots of digital tags also. This one is doubled, so I could glue that shut. I included time cards with the tags, just because, I guess just because you can buy them at business supply places. And you can make tags out of the time cards, but it's not like I use time cards all the time. In fact, I usually forget about them and I need to use them more, but I'm including them here so we can both remember time cards. And these are a couple things I've made with time cards. I cut one and added some embellishment to it, and this one I kept long, but I made a fabric pocket on it and put a tag inside it. And I must not forget the tiny tags. We love the tiny tags. So these are dyed, and little teeny ones. You can stamp on them, put rub-ons on them. I've got bundles of these that are coffee dyed. My friend Leslie sent them to me a long time ago. She sent me the pink ones too, and I have been using them. She sent me several batches of the coffee dyed ones, so I have some that are opened and some that aren't. And little jewelry tags. They're fun to hang on a bulb pin. And merchandise tags in different colors. So little tags, and these wire for metal bound tags. That's the tags. And that was number 8. Number 9 is library pockets. I know we already talked about pockets, but library pockets get their own category. I use these very often. I have some that I bought. I bought these at a flea market, but I have purchased them from Amazon too. And I also often get them from old books that I buy at the library. The library often sells off books that they are discarding, and I can often peel them. You can see this one, it's kind of thin where it left some of its paper behind, but I will put some paper behind it. And sometimes they're glued to like the back flyleaf instead of the back cover, so I can just cut it if it's really tough to get off. Sometimes they're a little difficult to get off, but you can see I do it. So these are all vintage ones, and I like to save this part too if it's there, and I'll use that. So the cards in the vintage books are rarer. I don't find them with cards very often, but a few times I have. Some of these came from my church library when they got rid of a lot of books. And I have gotten some colored ones and plain ones from Amazon. And here's a little pack of craft library style pockets, so I can embellish them and use them. So library pockets are great. I love to put one on the back inside cover of a book and then put a library card inside it, and I'll usually have a card tucked in there that has my signature stamp. I stamp it and then sign it. Number 10 is guest checks, and I sometimes forget I have these too. So I have the green ones and the pink ones, and they're sturdy. They're paper, but they're not super thin, so they can be tucked into a pocket or glued to a page to be written on. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. You can embellish them and have a lot of fun with them. Fold them up and make a pocket. You can take off this little perforated part and use that for separate embellishments. You can do lots of things with guest checks. I do have a couple of, no, I guess just one bonus. I have one bonus, and that is playing cards. I didn't include that in the main list of 10 because I have a lot of them and I do like to use them, but I don't use them as often as the other items. So playing cards, I think of these kind, with the 4 suits and the numbers and the face cards. And you can get some with such pretty decorations, pretty pictures on the backs. So I have quite a few, and I have them in different shapes. There's round ones, there's one with the middle cut out, there's this crooked one, got a couple of crooked ones, and oblong ones. So they're fun. And I also have small ones, and those are really pretty on this side too. Love those roses. And even Mickey Mouse. And teeny tiny ones. And also included with the playing cards are game cards, like children's game cards, like Old Maid and Snap and any other game. Crazy Eights. They always have fun images. There's a really vintage set right there. I love them. And this one was fun. It's shaped like bread, and you have all the components for making sandwiches. Isn't that fun? I'm not sure what this game is, but these are vintage. This is some animal rummy game, I think. Some botanical cards that I got in a Happy Mail. These are in German. That's in German too. And then these were people from around the world. So I have found a great variety of cards at flea markets and antique malls. And then, of course, of the author's game. I love the author's cards. And I've got a a variety of different packs. You can see by the backs of them that there's different packs here, but they are all from the author's game. So it's got the famous classic American authors. I think they're all American. So that's it. That's what I have for my ephemera. And I know that there's more. That's the problem. These videos were hard to do because there's such a variety that people use for everything, and I was just trying to showcase what I use most often. And it was also a good reminder for me to use some of these things more often. I hope you found this informative, and yeah, just leave any comments below. Let me know if there are embellishment or ephemera pieces that you like to use that I didn't include. I know there are plenty more that I use, but I had to limit myself. I appreciate you and your comments and watching these videos. I hope that this was a good series for you to watch. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.